Yeah, it's interesting. You could look up 100 videos on why eXp sucks, and you could look up 100 videos on why eXp is great. So if you're watching this video, just as a backstory, Gabe is with eXp, obviously. I am a almost new agent. I just have to pass my state test because I failed it, passed the national, got to go retake the state. But obviously I'm in the process of researching what brokerage to go for. I'm personally in Boise, Idaho, and it's a whirlwind of information. YouTube's been insanely helpful. Gabe's made really helpful content on eXp, and so I dove into that. I think I found him when I was just looking at eXp versus Compass, and then also I learned I'm not even able to join Compass because they don't take new agents. But I do have two friends who are with Compass out of Seattle, Washington. They really enjoy it, but I've heard a ton of great things about eXp. I feel like, yeah, it's interesting. You could look up 100 videos on why eXp sucks, and you could look up 100 videos on why eXp is great. There's certain reasons I'm leaning towards it, and it's been enjoyable to talk with Gabe is because he is heavily into video, as you can see in his background too. He's got a video set up, as you can see me. I have video set up. I'm coming out of videography, and I see it as a huge way to gain leads and beat out other people. It's funny. I was at church on Sunday, and there was an open house 3 doors down from our church building because they knocked a house down and built 3 shotgun style houses. And one of the gals, I walked in, there was a realtor in there, and she asked, because she knew I moved. I told her I moved a year ago, and she's like, how'd you find your real estate agent? And I was like, because she was just wondering how to get in front of new people coming in. And all I'm thinking is like, well, I should tell her, but I didn't. But I was like, you make YouTube content helping those people as they move to the city. So anyways, so that's where we're at. So Gabe was great. We did a 30-minute call, I think a week ago, and I just drilled him with a ton of questions. And now we're hopping on a follow-up call. And my biggest question that's still lingering, and now you're hearing this for the first time, is eXp right for a beginning agent who has no experience versus somebody like you who was in the business for a long time, then transitioned over to them? And so anyways, that was like the big top of mind thing for me as I'm thinking about this right now.
That first of all, that was a great recap. And second of all, I think it's good to watch both the good and the bad videos on any company, at least so you can know what you're jumping into. Because a lot of times when you do that, you don't know what you don't know, right? So you don't know what even questions to ask sometimes. So when you're doing your research and your due diligence, you should look at the pros and the cons. And if it doesn't meet someone's expectations, why didn't it meet them? And then if those reasons don't resonate with you, then that may not be an issue for you, right? But I think you're doing a great job with research, and I can tell right off the bat with our last phone conversation, especially knowing that you are new to the business, you had a lot of great questions. So we hammered out a lot on our first call.
And I think to add on to what you just said too, I think something that I want you to answer that I think you answered for me, but when I watch videos, if you're looking at eXp, and granted, I haven't chosen anything yet. I don't have any ties to anything, but something that I see come up continually in the knock on eXp is the fact that because of the structure that eXp set up, where like the reason I'm talking to Gabe is that I could possibly come under Gabe and join under him, get access to his training and his help. With that being said, he's in California, I'm in Boise. There's financial incentive for Gabe to do this. And there's financial incentive for Gabe to continually help me grow, even if we were in the same market, that could be the case. And one of the knocks that I heard on eXp is that, and I've found this already, if you rub shoulders with people with eXp, depending on who they are, the first thing they try to do is rope you in if you haven't been roped in yet. And it can kind of feel like, man, if you keep roping people in, can you even help me? Can you and that's people's knock, is that I got roped in. Somebody said they were going to help me, and they painted this like amazing experience and all this stuff. And then, 1 to 2 months in, I never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And so that's obviously that can happen. I think it depends on the person you get, but will you answer that like from your perspective?
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, I think it's crucial and critical, right? Because when there is an opportunity to add additional financial security or incentive in your business, like you're going to get agents that want to just focus on recruiting people, right? And not as much adding value. That's why when you decide to align with a group, a sponsor, and an organization, it's really critical you pick the right organization to join, because you don't want to join someone that's literally just going to recruit you and then think that they're going to earn $2,800 a year off you on your commission, and then be like, okay, good luck. Let me know if you need any help, or I can teach you where to find your answers in eXp world, right? That's not what you want. You want someone who's building and growing an organization that has resources for you and has ways for you to continuously be plugged into those resources. And, I sent you a bunch of links and our weekly calendar of Zoom meetings. I mean, literally our group alone, I'm not talking about just the eXp in general, but our organization under Krista Mayshore, we offer more Zoom trainings every week than most brokerages that I've ever seen. And I've been at a lot of the top brokerages in the country. So I've been with Compass, I've been with Coldwell Banker. I started my career at Berkshire Hathaway. We would do a Tuesday morning office meeting with the office manager, and that was pretty much it. We literally have things to plug into every day. And just because we don't have an office environment and we're virtual, a lot of times people think, well, how can you build culture if you're virtual, right? Like Zoom has shown us that you don't need an office environment to build that culture. Like we're able to grow extremely strong relationships through our network and everything that we do. And then we do get together for in-person meetups and in-person conventions. I mean, eXp throws 3 to 4 big conventions every year. And then our group also has additional trainings and get-togethers on a semi-annual or quarterly basis.
Two things on that. One, I follow somebody on TikTok who's with eXp, and it looks like they're somewhere right now. And I was curious, like, is everybody invited to that thing? Was that like a micro event, like an eXp event? It was somewhere. I don't know if it was like East Coast or off.
It was Cabo. Cabo was the big event that was happening right now, and that's thrown by Brent Gove, who is one of the top agents. He's like number 3 in the company for his
throws his own events.
He does. So, there's eXp corporate sponsored events.
Yeah.
And then there's other events that are put on by agents, but everyone is invited, right? Like, it's not like, oh, only if you're in Brent Gove's organization can you come. No, the whole theme behind our eXp group is one big fire. So you put all your little fires together. You've got literally hundreds of different organizations of people that have sponsored other people and built organizations within eXp, and they all offer kind of some different either training or collaboration. However, one big fire, when you put all these little fires together, it creates one big fire. And the level of collaboration from agents at eXp once you're there is truly unlike anything I've ever seen. And that comes from the top-down leadership, right? Like, the leadership really wanted to create a structure where culturally everyone wanted to help one another out. And yeah, of course, if they're in your revenue share group, you're incentivized to help them out. But because eXp actually makes each of us agents as owners of the company through stock ownership, literally, like, you don't have to even purchase the stock. Just by being at eXp and selling real estate, there's different milestones that they gift you stock, right? So then everyone's like, well, the more agents that eXp has, the more revenue that goes to the company, the more revenue they share to agents, but at the same time, the better the stock performs. So it really creates, like, it doesn't matter if I'm friends with eXp agents from all over the country that are either in our group or not in our group. And I've had people call me and they're like, hey, I've got an agent I'm talking to and they had some questions about Compass. Would you mind talking to them? I get no financial benefit. I would not be sponsoring that agent that I'm being introduced to from another eXp agent, but I jump on that call because there is a level of collaboration. If maybe I need some help with something and they're an expert in that, I'm going to reach out to them. So it really does foster this collaboration amongst agents that I've never seen before.
And then you mentioned 2 things too that I want to highlight because these are questions I had. So going back, remind me of the name of the gal who's above you.
Krista Mayshore.
Okay, Krista Mayshore. So this was a question I had when I was talking with Gabe. It's like, Gabe has his own stuff and I love his approach. Krista Mayshore has added to his approach on what he does. And Gabe and I were talking about that. And so apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, I would get, if I joined eXp, I'm like, well, I should just join Krista Masor. A downside, it sounds like, of that as well, Krista Masor probably has a ton of people under her, and I probably wouldn't get a ton of hands-on time. But if I joined with you, I would not only get access to you and your help and one-on-one, but then I would also get access to anything Krista Masor has done. And I watched through some stuff. And if you're into video, and when we sold our first house back in Portland, Oregon, I love the real estate agents came in and they're like, we have a comprehensive marketing strategy. And I was like, well, tell me about that. Cause I'm just like, cause I know how I'm looking, and I'm like, I know I'm on my phone and I'm checking Zillow all the time, but I know my attention is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, things like that. And their answer kind of made me laugh because they just mentioned all this stuff. I'm like, who even bothers with that stuff? Whereas Krista Masor acknowledges that, shifted, and said, hey, where'd the attention go? Let's follow the attention and let's come up with a plan to get your listing. Because it's like, if I'm selling a product, the more eyes I get on it, the better. And she has what looks like a great, very tangible tactical system in light of where people's attention is today. So I really like that. So anyway, so I would get access to you and the people above you, and which is a huge benefit.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people maybe miscalculate or misunderstand that they think they need to be higher up in the food chain. It really doesn't do anything to benefit you. For example, like if you feel like, oh, well, if I just go under Krista, like somehow that might give you more money or a better split or anything like that, or access to more resources. And it actually doesn't. That's the beauty of the eXp model. And I'll give you a quick example of this, right? So if you are sponsoring an individual agent, right? Let's say I were to sponsor you. Yeah. I can make in one given year, $2,800 from your production if you're a capping agent. So if you're a capping agent, that means you earn about $80,000 a year in gross commission income. Then you've capped the eXp. Agent? Yeah, a cap means you go to 100%. Okay, so you look at
that 16,000.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you look at traditional brokers, the majority of them out there, because the old school method was there was no cap, meaning the more money you earn in commissions, the more money you pay your broker, right? That's why in 2020,
which is what I found here in Boise. There's one company I talked to, and that was the first company I talked to, and I thought that was interesting. Then I realized a lot of brokers cap.
Right. So Compass, Coldwell Banker, Berkshire Hathaway, Century 21, all of these are examples of traditional brokers that are typically not on a capped model. So I paid
Compass
over
doesn't cap?
No. So we literally just brought over an agent who we've sponsored into our organization from Compass. He hasn't made his announcement yet, but it's going to save him over $300,000 a year coming over to eXp. I paid over $120,000 in 2020 to Compass, and I just was not feeling the value that I was getting because all of the transactions and all the clients that I was servicing were coming from my own efforts. And they didn't care where I was. It's a kind of, I think, a misconception in the industry that you need to align yourself with some well-known or established broker. And I think even more so in the luxury broker range, because I was telling myself that story in my head for probably a good year. I was a naysayer to eXp. I was saying, I like the model. It sounds really cool. However, in my area in Newport Beach, California, where the average sales price is now $3 million, right? And it's very common to sell homes at $5 million and above. Like I felt like you had to be aligned with a luxury broker. And my business would not have doubled in 2021 if that were true, because I continued servicing the clients that I did, and my team went from 40 million to 80 million in 2021. That was the year that I moved over to eXp. So it's really what the agent does, and I think it's all about how you brand yourself and how you put yourself out there, and not branding the actual company. eXp goes in the background. We're brokered by eXp Realty, but you create your own brand because we as the agents are the forward facing to the consumer. We're the brand. Right? They're working with us. They're not calling up and saying, I want to work with, Coldwell Banker, or I want to work with Compass. They're calling the agent that they know is the expert in the area, whether that be a small geographic area or a large, broader area, and they've got the marketing expertise and the ability to, consult with them and get them the best price for their home. So I think that's a couple of things that it took me a little bit of time to realize and figure out, and I'm sharing that message with other people that, how I've seen it works.
I think it's funny. I remember watching your content and hearing you talk about switching from Compass to that. And that was a big thing in your head about that. And it's funny because that never crosses my mind when we've sold our homes. I have never asked somebody like, what brokerage you work for? Because I don't care. And it was never front and center. And you could be with anybody, but it's like something I did notice about you, which I like. It's funny when I go to some people's real estate things, it's almost like they're a sub page on the broker's page almost. And it looks bad. It looks like a yellow page or something like that. Whereas with you, it's like, if you're watching this video behind your head, you see the logo. It's like, what is it, like dueling R's side to side? Yes, thank you.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's super classy. And like, you put your brokerage somewhere. Anyways, it's just funny. That just never crosses my mind whenever I've looked at brokerage. Granted, I am not that client of the luxury. I'm not buying or selling homes.
Yeah, but I don't think that matters, right? And I think you're coming from it from a consumer standpoint, right? Which if you're an agent that's been in the business for a while, you maybe have trouble thinking, what does the consumer think? And you're now just getting into real estate, so you already have the consumer perspective, and you feel like you know what's important to you or to the consumer. So that that's a very valid point that you bring up.
Yeah. Something else, I'm like thinking of things that I think. Would you agree with this statement? If people have had bad experiences in eXp, in terms of, it sounds like the most negative thing I hear is I got on with somebody and then they bailed. It's not that they had a bad experience with eXp. It's that they had a bad experience with an individual who's in eXp. And if somebody has a good experience, it's probably because they're with somebody, maybe like yourself or somebody else who does a good job. And it's almost like it's not eXp that gets the bad rap. It's that individual who got the bad rap.
Correct. So that going back to why how important it is to pick the right organization or a sponsor, it is critical to your overall experience. Look, there are cases where people don't do their research and they just align themselves with someone, and that person really does not provide any additional help or value to them. There are actually groups within eXp. So we have this thing called Workplace, right? It's by Facebook. It's basically the same as Facebook, but it's only for business. So eXp has their own Workplace. Basically 75,000 agents are in there. So it's referral networks, different types of groups you can join if you have questions on all sorts of different things. You can form your own group and invite agents to it, right? There are groups that have popped up in eXp by some fantastic leaders with agents within the company that basically formed it because they're either agents that got sponsored by someone who maybe didn't stay with the company or provided very little additional value or help to them. And they wanted to create a group, and it's got thousands of people in it, to help everyone. And it's going back to that theme that I told you about earlier, like one big fire. Like, look, they want to help every agent in the company, and they want to help the company overall and the collaboration within the agents within the company, regardless of revenue share. So, yes, it is important to make sure you do your due diligence and align with a good sponsor. And look, there can be a new agent that might be a great sponsor because they may still sit down with you and share with you everything that they've learned because they've been at eXp before you. You don't have to align with some top producing agent that sells, hundreds of homes a year. You want to pick someone that's a right fit for you and who's going to provide value. And if that new agent maybe has been with eXp for 6 months, but they have people above them that, are also willing to help, because you get 7 layers of people above you that are willing to contribute and help you grow. And in a lot of cases, it actually goes above 7, because even someone in your 8th or 9th tier above you, they still want to help, because then it's helping the people that are 4 or 5 below them. Because it just helps them grow their revenue share organization. So I think it's important that you find the fit of what's good for you and make sure that there is value and collaboration that in the group that you're joining.
Yeah. Something I'll say, this can be a little soundbite for you if you want it, Gabe, but as I've researched you, what has attracted me to you right off the bat was the fact that as I get into this, I'm not sure exactly what it'll look like in multiple years. Like, will it be a team? Will it not be a team? All these things. And what I like about you is that you've done it all. It almost sounds like, right? You have the team, you are an eXp agent, you're early on in your process with the eXp. but you have all this experience prior to eXp, which is almost more valuable because then you can compare and contrast them with real life experiences. You've built a luxury brand on top of a brokerage. And so that's like really enticing because it's like, well, if I want to build a team one day and you want help with that, it's like, if they choose you, it's like, well, hey, you've been down that road.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I appreciate that. I do. And that's, kind of definitely something I pride myself on. And I love helping other agents. Like just this week, I've got a guy in my organization who I've personally sponsored who's in Canada. His name is Brandon Grass. He was with Remax for several years before he came over to eXp.
What got him to make the switch?
A lot of the things that you and I have already spoken about, and he's big on video, and he's gotten bigger on video. He doesn't have a team yet. He wants to form a team.
Okay.
He's been an individual agent. He sent me a message and he's like, "Hey, do you have a couple of minutes to talk?"
Did he find you on YouTube?
We got introduced through a mutual friend who's actually Jesse, who is 2 above me. He's 1 above Krista. And we just started collaborating and doing some stuff together. And he really loved everything that I was doing. And he loved everything that was in the Krista Bayshore program because he's been doing a lot of YouTube advertising, but he wasn't doing the level he wanted to get to on his Facebook advertising and building more branding within the community. Yeah. So it was really a natural progression for him. But we had the conversation just this week and I spent 30 minutes on the phone with him. And he's like, "Gabe, thank you so much for spending the time." I'm like, "Brandon, we're partners. Like I want to help you. Like, feel free to call me anytime." And he's like,
he's under you. He came in under you.
He came in under me. And so as he's growing his team, he's just a solo agent now, not even an assistant. And he does like over 30 deals a year. Like he does a good amount of business. He's doing it all himself. And so I went over with him. I'm like, the first thing you need to do before you even start thinking about hiring agents is you need to bring on an admin or someone that's going to help you run all of the mundane tasks. I want you to write down everything you do during your day that you can delegate to someone else. Like I've gotten really good at delegating things I get the ideas and I know what I want to do, but I don't need to be pushing the buttons on everything. Right. Yeah. And that even comes down to video. Like there's still a lot of agents that will do their own video editing. That's not the best use of your time. Best use of your time is being forward facing with your clients, putting out content. You shoot the video and then have someone else, even if you find someone online on Fiverr or any of those other sites, to edit your video for you for 20 or 25 bucks, and then just get it out there. Because the agents that get like stuck in the mundane tasks, they'll just like do a whole lot of nothing. And then they realize, oh shit, it's 5 o'clock. Like I've got nothing else to, I've got no time left today because I've spent 4 hours editing my video and I haven't even distributed it yet. So things like that. And just going back to Brandon, like we went through a bunch of stuff, basically a coaching call that he doesn't pay for. And he got out of that coaching call all fired up. And, we were talking about internet lead generation and going beyond just video. We were talking about lead generation websites that we use and what our backend CRM is. And I told him everything that I use and, what I'm doing for Google pay-per-click ads and all of these kind of different things to drive traffic. Yeah. And then he's like, well, I want to start spending more money on that to drive a lot of traffic. And I told him to slow down before he speeds up because he needs to get some infrastructure in place. And you don't need 500 leads a month because you don't have the help for that. So it just that kind of stuff is what you get access to when you decide to partner with us, that, people spend $1,200, $1,500 a month on coaches, right? Like you can come to us and align with us and you get group Zoom calls and you get access to agents like me to be able to reach out to and ask questions because you're definitely going to have questions, especially as you're growing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's zoom in. So we have this call as a follow-up. The top burner for me is, do I join? Like I was YouTubing it, right? And there are videos. It's like I was YouTubing. I was like, is eXp good for a beginner agent? Something like that, right? And one of the things that comes to mind is like there's a friend of mine who's an agent in Seattle. And I was just down in California doing a video shoot because that's what I do prior to becoming an agent. And I was following her story and it just sounded like just a real shitstorm experience between her, a lender who is non-responsive, certain things on the lending paperwork that she didn't even know needed to be filled out because she's like, I'm not the lender, but now I know it, but it could cause my client not. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, like there's so many things to be able to take a client from beginning to close. And I'm thinking, because I know eXp's, yes, I could join you, but then in addition to that, it sounds like eXp provides a mentor in your area for the first 3 transactions. And I was watching a video and it almost sounds like there's some training that comes along with that. And I'm just wondering, is that enough? Because something I think I realized in my own business was if I could start my video production business over again, I would happily take a year off the first year, go be under, like if you were local and you have a team, I'd be like, I'm just going to go work under your team and give a cut of the way for the experience. But I don't have that option here per se. So what would your thoughts be on that? If like, because I don't want to sit here and suck up all your time, right? Like if those 3 things aren't enough, it's like, I don't just want to sit here and eat your time up. And it's like, if you're working with experienced people like that guy to Canada, he's probably not asking the rudimentary stuff that I am, nor probably needs the attention that somebody like me would need.
Yeah. So here, a couple of things for that, right? One, the mentor program that you just mentioned. So you would get paired with a local mentor agent that needs to be qualified by eXp. And they are going to be the go-to person for these types of questions, right? Like if you're writing your first contract, if you're working with a seller or a buyer and certain things are coming up and it's specific to that transaction, that's who you are going to contact. And they're getting, in turn, they're getting a percentage of your first 3 deals. So they're getting compensated to help you. There's an entire training program for new agents that they go through. That's in addition to the stuff that's available just in eXp University, because there's tons of different classes in eXp University, but they actually put you through a mentor program for new agents that trains you on all the things that you need to be doing to get business, as well as once you get that business, the fundamentals of the contract and protocols and how you're supposed to do things, right? So number 1 is your mentor program. And for that, you're going to pay an additional 20% on your first 3 deals.
Yep.
Right. So instead of an 80-20, which another thing I love about eXp is everyone in the company is on the same program, right? Like there's agents out there, if you had other companies, like depending on how they grease the wheel and depending on how they get in with their manager, threaten to leave. And if they're going to leave, then they can get a higher split, all of that kind of stuff. That happens at other brokerages. At eXp, everyone's on the same program. Everyone's on an 80-20 split. Yep. Except for brand new agents who are on a 60-40 for their first 3 deals. Okay. So that's going to compensate the mentor for helping you out. Then there's also the state brokers. Every state has brokers. There's in California, we have 7 brokers, right? Because we've got over 10,000 agents now in California.
That was my follow-up. Yeah. So I want you to jump into that. A thought that I had when going through real estate school, they made it sound like as you're doing paperwork, as you're doing other things, essentially the house is not yours. It's the broker. You're like a representative of the broker. The broker's there to protect you. The broker's there to look over your paperwork, all that stuff. And so then my question to that, and it sounds like you're about to answer it, is like, can I call a broker? Can I get help? Like what role does my brokerage actually play with me?
Yeah. Totally.
And who understands Idaho law versus California law? Yeah.
So every state has brokers of record for eXp. So like it's no different than joining a local office, right? Like if you were to join, let's say, give me a name of a local office. Okay. You join Keller Williams in Boise, right?
Yeah.
You have a broker that you would call if you have questions on things, right? Or if you have an issue with a contract, right? The beauty of so I have my broker's license. I've been in the business 20 years. I've had my broker's license for like 17 years. If I wanted to just form my own.
Do you need to be under a brokerage?
I don't.
Technically, you could be on your own.
I don't. Okay. But there's tons of broker owners who have come over to eXp Realty because it actually does a tremendous amount for liability, right? Because eXp is now liable on those transactions, not the agent, right? Like there's a tremendous amount of cost that you can actually save if you've got your own brokerage and you come over to eXp. But that's a totally different story.
Okay.
Going back to your question, there are a couple of really easy ways to get in touch with the broker. Number 1 is we have what's called the eXp World. So I haven't done
I
a
think I've
demo
seen
for this
images.
on you. I'm sure you
It
have.
looks like the metaverse. Is that
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
So you go in, you have an avatar, you create your own avatar, right? You dress yourself, you create your own avatar, you go into eXp World, and it's basically like walking into the office, but it's a virtual office.
Do I need a
Okay.
headset?
You don't need a headset.
Okay.
Yeah. No, your sound is awesome on that microphone. You definitely don't need a headset.
I don't need like a VR headset where I'm like living in this
VR
world
headset. No, you don't need it. No.
Okay.
You just look at your computer screen. And in eXp World, you've got all these different departments, just like you were to go into a big office campus or an office environment, right?
Okay.
And if you want, the cool thing about this is I can go in, and so can you. I can go talk to a broker in any state if I wanted to, because I've had agents in Texas that are talking about joining me, and they have questions. And I click on the Texas state on the icon on the map, and within 2 minutes, I'm speaking to a Texas broker, and I'm walking through that agent on how you get your questions answered. So first of all, like the availability of the brokers in eXp World is far surpasses any availability I've had from broker managers at other offices, because typically a broker, especially at Keller Williams, right? They call them the team leader. Their focus on recruiting for KW, right?
Yeah.
One of the top, I guess you would call it, tasks or job responsibilities of a team leader at Keller Williams is to recruit to the office, right? So they're in recruiting meetings. They're talking to agents that are maybe thinking about joining their brokerage. eXp, the brokers don't do any recruiting. Their sole focus is to just support the agents within the company with anything that they need on the brokerage level, like anything that they need on compliance or fundamentals or anything like that. So you've got your mentor as your first line of contact. You've got your broker manager that you can either message through Workplace, just like a chat if you wanted to, and then they can call you right through Workplace. Or you can just go in and speak to them face to face, just like we are, but we would be cartoons instead of, humans on the other side. But like, let's say you've got a question on a contract that you're working up. You can then share your screen, pull the contract up, and they can go over it with you right then and there. Yeah. And I've literally, never had to wait more than probably 3 or 4 minutes max to sit down face to face with a broker in eXp World.
And that's the way to do it. It's not like, is there a phone number? Like if I'm out in the field, I'm not next to my computer.
There's phone numbers as well.
Like an Idaho guy.
Yep. There's phone numbers as well. But, literally, if you just pull up your app for Workplace, which I have right here on my phone, and you go into Workplace chat, I don't know if you can. I can just looks exactly like Facebook, right? Looks like Facebook Messenger. I can message the broker right there, which I've done before.
And a local, like a Cali broker.
Yeah, California, for me, it's a Cali broker, but you're messaging your Idaho broker. Yeah. Right. And so you message your Idaho broker, and then you can coordinate right there, either a time to talk, or I've had it happen where I was messaging the California broker, and they're like, this will be easier if I explain it to you. Are you available? And they literally called me right through. It's like calling through Facebook Messenger, and they call me right there, and we're on the phone with one another. At traditional offices, oftentimes you'll like leave a message for your broker. They'll be in meetings, right? Then they'll call you back and you're in a showing, and you play this like voicemail tag, email tag going back and forth. This literally makes it so easy to get in touch with your brokers when you have questions for the broker.
Say I join and I'm here in Boise and I get a mentor agent, and say me and that mentor agent maybe just aren't connecting. Is there any thing to say, hey, can I grab another? Is there another option?
Yeah, you can get reassigned. Yeah, if you're not jiving with your mentor for some reason or another, you can ask for a reassignment.
Cool. Say one day you leave eXp and you go to some brokerage that doesn't even exist yet, right?
Yep.
And you made a video leaving eXp for X brokerage. What would you say are some weak points of eXp? In the terms, if you had to compare it, right? Like if you're comparing the two, if you said, yeah, eXp was great for these reasons, this is where they were weak in their business model or what I saw, or in general, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah. So it wouldn't be for me because of the group that I've joined, but I would say, like, as a generic thing of what I could hear people saying,
Yeah.
would be like they felt like they're on an island, right? They feel isolated, right? And that I can't see that happening if you join a good group. But at the same time, there are so many resources just at eXp, but it's what you make of it. And I would say that's about anywhere. I mean, that person that might leave or complain, they may have those same complaints if they go and join another office, right? So, I've always enjoyed working out of an office environment. There's tons of people that love working at home, right? So I've got my studio set up behind me here. I enjoy having a space for work. Some agents might say, like, I really just didn't like the work from home environment. Now, there are avenues to get around that, right? So we've got a partnership with Regus, and Regus is like the largest co-working space in the country. They've got thousands of offices throughout the country. I have not looked in Boise, but I'm sure Regus, if you look them up, they probably have Regus there, right? So you've got two options at Regus. One, you get a card from eXp, and you don't pay anything additional for this; it's included. And if you wanted to bring your laptop and drop into the Regus and use their co-working common area, and bring your laptop, work from that environment. You could hook up to their printers if you need to use the copy machines, all of that kind of stuff. You can do that. If you want to leave your stuff, then you would have to rent an office, right? But if you look at KW, a lot of those agents, even though they have a brick and mortar office, they pay rent to rent those offices. So because KW has a capped model also, and every franchise, depending on the location, would have a different amount of commission you have to pay every year. They will charge you rent. So it's very similar to that. Like you're paying way less to your broker at eXp. And part of the way that they're able to offer everything that they offer and give half the revenue of the company back to the agents that help build it, they have to cut office space, right? That's just one of the ways that they do it. But they give back so much, and they're so much more profitable for the agents because they don't have all these bloated expenses like leases, right? So that could be an issue for someone. And if they don't have the resources to be able to buy afford to rent their own office space, look, like I mentioned, you can take your laptop and just plug into the local Regus and work from there. But those are a couple of things that come to mind, and maybe they pick a sponsor or an organization that offers no additional resources, and they just feel like they haven't been able to connect very well.
Gotcha. That was helpful. One more big question that's looming on my mind. Actually, I should have asked it before the last one, but say I join you, and this is kind of like people can eavesdrop in on this. Say I join you. Two things that come to mind is what would the reality look like? And obviously it depends on like my needs or whatever, but what might I expect in terms of time with you? Do I get one-on-one time, or is it Zoom calls with all your other people? Because I know that obviously there comes a certain point where you're going to keep growing the amount of people under you on eXp. Time is limited. What does that look like? And another follow-up question to that is, do you have any thoughts of like, I don't know, like I have a video team, and I take them out to dinner. We do events. Like, do you ever put on and I know you're just starting out with this, but do you ever put on things like, hey, let's all get together. Hey, we had a great year, whatever it is. What are your thoughts on how you want to interact with your team personally?
Yeah, no, totally. So I think that's a great question. So I am at the early stages of building my organization, right? Yeah. And it will change over time. It's going to grow. Like at this time right now, I have about 25 agents in my organization, right?
And let me just pause right there. So when you say organization, you're talking about people on eXp who aren't physically on your team in your local area, but somebody like me who's out of state or really anywhere, Canada. That's what you mean when you talk about organization and the people below them.
Correct. So
okay.
You got it exactly. The only caveat to that is some of those 25 people are on my physical team.
Yes.
Right here in Irvine, California. Right.
Curious tangent. Yeah. Say I was in your local neighborhood and I wanted to join eXp.
Yep.
There's the team model where you take more of a cut that I'm used to seeing here in Boise. It's like, oh, join our brokerage, and here's a team on the brokerage you can join. Then they'll take a certain cut. Yep. You operate that way, but then also, what if I was joining you right now? Would I somehow interact with you on a daily basis, or you'd say, "Oh, if you want to come to my office, you have to join my team, my physical team." Well,
are you saying if you're in my current location, or
if I'm in your location
Yeah.
and I was joining you, would I have the option to join you as like the way I'm considering it? And or would I have the option to join? I'm just going to come under you as a team.
Yeah, no, there's two different options if you're local. So if you're looking to be on an actual team, and you've got to look at what resources does the team provide you, right? Because you are giving up more of your compensation, but if you do more transactions because of that, then there's obviously a benefit to that. So the agents that are on my team, instead of a $16,000, and this is for all teams at eXp, but instead of a $16,000 cap with eXp, you have as a team member a half cap. So you pay eXp $8,000 instead of 16, right? So that's one benefit of being on a
benefit.
team. That's a benefit. eXp requires team leaders, no matter where the transaction comes from, to always take a minimum of 25%. Meaning, if you were on my team, the most you could ever make, even if you're a $20 million a year producer, is 75% split. And you would, after you pay your $8,000 to eXp, then you're at 100% with eXp, but you're still on a 75% split with my team, Realm Residential. Okay,
that's not bad.
So, in addition to that, if there's team leads and there's more opportunities for you to get at bats with buyers and sellers, those typically are offered at different splits depending on the team that you join. A lot of teams will take a higher split when they're obviously paying for lead generation and paying for leads for you as a team member to receive.
Okay. And then jumping back, I tangented out there. Going back, is you envision what you want to build with eXp with, what did we call that term? People like me would be your corporation?
Well, organization. Yeah,
organization.
Now, the organization can be kind of spoken to in multiple forms, right? Because when I said my organization, I've got 25, that's people that I've personally sponsored or the people that I've sponsored have sponsored, right? And so if you look at the Krista Mayshore organization, which at this time right now, who's one above me, she's got over 500 people in her organization.
But at all different levels.
At all different levels. But still, anyone who comes under me, and if you choose to join me, anyone who comes under you would get access to all the training and all the resources that our group offers, because Krista's offering that to everyone under her. Yeah. Right. So let me share my screen with you real quick, and I'm going to show you. Okay. So you see this weekly schedule?
Yes, Krista Mayshore, KMC.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I sent this to you or not. Maybe I did, but this is just a walkthrough.
Right? Maybe I didn't see it, but it's new for me.
Okay. So every day, and these are just some of the times, we actually have more times for a call that we have skin in the game. Skin in the game, they're literally times from 3:30 a.m. Pacific time, because people on the East Coast put it on. All like pretty much throughout the day. And that's just skin in the game is a 15-minute call. It's a daily accountability call once every day. And it really allows you to do a couple of things. There are several agents in our organization that do that. Okay. If you want to jump on any of the skin in the game calls, you pick a time, you just jump on the Zoom. It's a 15-minute call. And what happens on that call is you basically go around on Zoom, and everyone talks about two things that they're committed to do that day. And then the very next day, let's say that's on Monday. On Tuesday, you talk about if you completed the two things you were committed to doing, and if not, what got in the way, and then two things you're committed to do for today. And so what happens is that when you have a group of people holding you accountable, it really ups your level. You can be accountable to yourself, but you can be really crappy at being accountable to yourself, right? If you're in a group of 10, 15, 20 other agents, and you keep saying, oh, I'm going to film this video today about moving to Boise, Idaho, and I'm going to go interview one business owner that owns a restaurant and do a showcase on theirs. And you keep saying that for a week straight, and every day you get back on and you're like, I know I said I was going to do this, but I got really busy with this training. And, I had a buyer that called me and they wanted to go look at properties. So I had to spend 3 hours, searching the MLS. Like, you keep telling that bullshit story enough, and people are going to be calling you out on it, and you're going to feel like an idiot saying that over and over, right? So
Yeah.
when you basically declare to a group of people what you're going to get done today and what's going to move the needle in my business, and then you actually are held accountable by the agents that you declared it to, it literally catapults your business, because every day you decide what's going to move the needle for you, and then you're held accountable to it. And if you don't, you're answering to a group of 15, 20 agents and telling them why. So that's just one thing. That's every day of the week to get your day started off right, right? Then we've got like agent attraction accountability. Very similar scenario. I talked about the first one was more for your real estate business. This is if you want to attract agents, and a very similar thing here but just with like how you're running your agent attraction business. Then every day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., we've got something called Agent Power Huddle. We've got great guest speakers on there. There's all sorts of different topics, different trainings, what's working in people's businesses, all sorts of ideas. That's every day at 8 a.m. Then we've got these other additional things, right? Like KMO support, office hours. That's like if you're having questions on any of the trainings in the Krista Mayshore organization, like you're trying to deliver video through Facebook or whatever. Office hours are to support you and answer your questions. And that's every Monday at 8 a.m. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m., Krista gets on a live Zoom call. There's typically between 300 or 400 agents right now at this time that jump on that call every Tuesday. And Krista will do a live training of whatever she thinks is relevant for that day. But then she brings on great guest speakers, right? Like, so this week we had Bob Sears, who was one of the top coaches for Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. And he's doing a 4-week series on sales tactics. And that started this week, and it goes on for 3 more weeks, where she has him come on as a guest speaker and talk all about sales. And then is
that archived and accessible after the fact? They
are recorded. Yes. Yeah. Wednesdays at 9:30, every Wednesday at 9:30, people who join eXp, they say, well, I really love this business model of attracting other agents to it, but I don't know enough to be able to share it with them. Yeah. Literally all we teach you how to replicate and duplicate, right? Like how to scale this, right? So that's why we have everything mapped out. All you have to do is literally introduce someone to the idea of eXp, and you say, I'm super excited. These are all the things that are working for me. Hey, if you want to learn more about it, we've got a webinar this Wednesday at 9:30, and all you have to do is invite them to it. And then Jesse, who is in our organization, one above Krista, he literally every week gives an eXp Explained, talks about all the benefits of eXp, but also all the resources that our organization offers anyone who joins and partners with us. So literally all you have to do is invite them to that, get them to learn more. And then if they're interested, we can jump on a 3-way call. I'm available for 3-way calls. For example, if you talk to someone that was interested in joining, you invite them to this webinar, then they have more questions and they want to talk more, I would jump on a call with you and them and help you educate them on eXp. You're not expected to know all this stuff yet, right? That's why the people above you are supposed to help you and coach you and train you, because the more people that you educate and bring on to eXp under you, then I benefit as well, right? Yeah. And Jesse is also available for those 3-way calls. If for some reason our schedules didn't align and this person was only available at this time, we've got multiple people that can help you with those 3-way calls. Yeah. And then you can just see additional office hours, additional agent attraction training, what's working for agents and how they're attracting, right? You talk about, that maybe the negative connotation of, you talk to an eXp agent and they're just trying to, get you over to eXp, right? I realized that and noticed that. And that's why I've kind of position myself completely differently. Like, I want to provide a tremendous amount of value to the agents. I know eXp is not for everyone. However, it's for a tremendous amount of agents that are looking for growth and can see all the value in not only the business model, but also really creating something more than just their sales business, right? And that's what really attracted me, is like, you've heard stories about real estate agents that they can't retire and they work until they're 80 years old. And there's an old saying, like, I don't want to turn the key, like opening the door for buyers. I don't want to turn the key till I die, right? I think because real estate does not offer any form of 401k or any form of retirement, we're independent contractors.
That's a thing of the past.
Yeah, I know.
Well, not 401k. You could do matches. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. No, but traditional employment, right? So you're on your own for retirement. You either invest in real estate and build a portfolio of rental properties, right? Or save really well, but with how expensive everything is today, it's really hard to save your way to retirement without making some sort of investments. This like revenue sharing model allows you to build something that can grow over time. And even if you don't like blow it up and create an enormous organization, there's examples like you could, if you felt over the next 5 years, you could just attract one agent to eXp a year over the next 5 years, you'd have 5 agents. And if you could teach those 5 agents to each attract 5 people as well, then you'd have 5 people in your first level, which can pay you up to $2,800 each. Then you'd have 25 people in your second level, which would pay you up to $3,200 a year each. That equates to just under $100,000 a year in income.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you feel like you could attract 5 and teach those 5 how to attract 5, it's not a huge hurdle to be able to do that, especially if it doesn't have to be done in 6 months, right? You could build this thing over time and it could grow into a revenue stream that could pay you into retirement. It's something that's also willable. You can will this to someone. If you God forbid pass away and you've built up a revenue share that pays you X amount per year, you can will that. All that person has to do in order to receive it is get their real estate license and join eXp Realty, and then they can receive your revenue share that you built. Yeah. So it's pretty phenomenal.
I know that if I were to join with you, I'd get access to that and other people. Mm-hmm. What kind of access would I get to you? Or is it seen as like, hey, you don't need access to me, I give you access to resources?
No, not that at all. Right. Like, okay. Are we jumping on a call every day, you and I, and doing a 15-20 minute Zoom? No. Yeah. But if you need help with something, I'm your business partner. So you can feel free to reach out to me and help me. Right. If you wanted to set up something where we do something on a weekly basis until you kind of get more acclimated and get some things, but maybe it would be like, hey, let's touch base for 20 or 30 minutes every 2 weeks or something like that. And let's see how it goes. I'm available and I'm your business partner. And like, I can tell already from what you're doing with your, podcast and your video background, like you literally have the ability to grow a huge organization. I want to pour into you just like I would another agent that's needing help. I want to pour into agents and help them. But yes, I'm available to you as a business partner. Just
as I've been on the search, a huge resource obviously is YouTube, because there are people out there like you who just put out straight up helpful content. And I've stumbled across some of those people, and you're one of them. And I've appreciated the content you've made. I've appreciated your candor in conversation. Even hopping on this call, I was like, hey, record it, because I bet other people are probably going to be helped by just overhearing this conversation. But I'm excited. I'm like shocked that I'm even considering joining some team and being under some guy in a different state. And it's just like, but as I've gone down this journey about learning it, this call was really helpful in just sharing, like, especially coming from a new agent of somebody who's just like, I don't feel like I learned a ton through real estate school. I feel like I'll learn a ton actually getting out and doing it. And then, it sounds like eXp has thought through some of that, where I literally made comments to my wife. I'm like, it kind of sounds like eXp will take anybody, but then you have these other places who they just want really highly trained professionals. And I was like, I'm curious to see how it's going to play out in the long run, because you talk about stock and all this stuff, which only matters if eXp as a business is around, assuming they play their cards right. So anyway, so it's just interesting. And the more I learn about it, the more I get excited about it. And it is interesting. I think 2 things that stood out to me about you too was, as I was looking at joining a team, you take a really big hit. Like, this is kind of a tangent, but if I physically joined your physical team under you and you took a big hit, I think one comment you made in another video, and you're like, well, if I'm with another realtor or a brokerage, like, your teammates really don't make a lot, because they're getting dinged so many times between the brokerage, between my fees and things like that. So I definitely caught on to that about eXp. I'm like, that's really nice of them to do that. And then the other thing I caught on was something that I can't remember right now. But anyways,
No, I think that's a good assessment. And one thing that my final thoughts on what you just mentioned about, if they're still around, right? So eXp is the fastest growing real estate company in history. So right now we're growing at about 1,200 agents a week. So we're adding nearly 5,000 agents a month to the company. We're at 75,000 agents now. Okay. We will definitely surpass 100,000 this year without a doubt. And we've opened up in 18 countries, and we continue to open up in countries regularly. And the only reason why we're able to open up in each country is at the speed of which we're doing this is because of the cloud-based model and the cloud-based campus, right? Imagine if we had to go open up brick and mortar in Hong Kong, in UK, and Australia, right? eXp is a global company. And as we continue to grow, are there going to be new agents that join the company? Absolutely. Are there agents that are going to say, hey, I'm going to get rich on revenue share, and they like selling houses is just like a side thing for them, and they maybe don't even sell any houses? Revenue share only works if there's revenue. So that means it only works, and agents only get paid on revenue share if agents are generating revenue through home sales, right? So those agents are going to come and go, because if they don't have any value to provide to the people that they're bringing into eXp, and they're not really even selling houses themselves, they're not going to be sticking around. But as a final thought, if you look at who's joining eXp, there's literally some of the top teams in the country and in the world that have moved their teams over to eXp. I mean, it's like every other week I see a new announcement of like this mega team that has 50 agents, this team that does $400 million in volume a year has just moved their team over to eXp. So these are very smart business people, right? They're not dumb. They did not get this successful. They see the value in the model. And so it gives an opportunity for not only those guys and those big team leaders to see the model, but for a brand new agent like you haven't sold a house before other than your own personal residences, with your video knowledge and, video and digital marketing, like your personality is first of all fantastic. And if you just start putting out content to start growing your real estate business, and then in turn do that same thing to attract agents to you, then you're going to knock it out of the park. It may take a little bit of time, but if you stick with it, I have no doubt that you'll do great at it.
Perfect. Well, let's wrap it up there. If you're watching this video on Gabe's YouTube channel, leave comments below. If you're watching it on mine, leave comments below. Just again, to timestamp this, I am a brand new, not even an agent yet, one test away. I'm in that process, the same process that you might be in right now. And I'm just researching what all the options are. Obviously, there's a lot of things that intrigue me about eXp and the way that I want to do my business and the way that these things work. The fact that I can work with somebody, like I want to work with somebody who's into video, who lives online. And if I don't have somebody in my market that doesn't cap me at eXp, I could work with somebody like Gabe who has that same mindset and who understands it and gets it, and who can hopefully coach me, encourage me. And he's teamed up with people who kind of fill gaps that I'm missing in terms of how to use video and physically use it to help sell houses and not just garnish leads. So anyways, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you learned some stuff while eavesdropping. And if you have any other deeper questions, drop it in one of the comments below and one of us will get back to you. Thanks so much, Gabe. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, Craig. It was great connecting with you today, and let's touch base soon.